Hey, how's it going, guys? This is DJ Facing20 here, and you know it's that time of week again. We're back with another round of NFL predictions. This is week 11. Before I add again, thank you for the love. My videos haven't been doing as well recently. For some reason, YouTube keeps demonetizing them when I make them, which I don't know why. There's nothing said or done that's wrong in the videos, but I don't know. That's in the past, I guess. See, this video does as well. So this is my prediction video again. And here are my prediction record for last week. It was pretty decent last week. There's some games I feel like could go either way. I had the Chargers beating Jacksonville. Didn't necessarily happen. Was close, but didn't happen again. And how about the 49ers? I told you that they'd win their first game of the season this week. I know I said that for the past couple of weeks, but I did think that the Niners had a great chance of beating the Giants. So there we go. Pick that one. Browns, your turn. Win a game. Bet you won't. So this week seems to be a great week. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's start off with our first game, Thursday night game. We got the Tennessee Titans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now usually I would say this game would be stupid and nobody would want to watch it, but the Titans have been playing decently well, but you could have credited that to a pretty weak schedule. While they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are coming off of a win, they're playing really well as of recent. So I'm going to have to say that even though the Colts played a good game against the Steelers, I say Steelers beat the Titans in Pittsburgh. Next game, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Cleveland Browns. Without further ado, you know I'm not going to pick the Browns this week. But just give you a little bit of insight. Jacksonville, their defense is looking great. And although the Browns played a overall decently game against the Lions, losing that game, I still don't think they're going to win the game this season. Still being the only team without a win this season. Next up, we got the rescheduled game due to Hurricane Irma. Buccaneers versus the Dolphins. Buccaneers coming off of that 15-10 win against the Jets, while the Dolphins are coming off of the game against the Carolina Panthers. So this game I think is going to be pretty decent of a game. You have two teams who aren't, amazing, but I still think they could battle it out pretty well. So in this game of Buccaneers versus the Dolphins, I am going to go with the Buccaneers. Yes, I don't know if this is a shock to some people, but I do think the Buccaneers are still a little bit better team than the Dolphins. So, pick that as you will, but I still think that Tampa Bay will beat Miami. Next game, we got the Ravens versus the Green Bay Packers. The Ravens are coming off of a bye week, while the Packers are actually coming off of a win last week against the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bears game was a really close one. However, I do not think the Packers are still as good of a team, especially without Aaron Rodgers. It's still hard to pick them against some of these teams. So I'm going to have to pick the Baltimore Ravens, better overall team, better all quarterback play, I think. Unless Huntley goes off, I don't think the Packers are going to win. So I think Baltimore over Green Bay Packers. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears. The Lions are coming off their win against the Browns, easy to say, and the Bears are coming off their loss to the Packers. I do think that Detroit is still a really good team. They could possibly sneak into a wild card spot. I don't think they're going to win division. I think the Vikings have that closed down. But I do think that the Detroit Lions will beat the Bears. Bears are still a good team. I feel like they're still just a weapon or two away from a decent team, maybe even playoff contender next year. But I still think the Detroit Lions will beat the Chicago Bears. This game, I think, is going to be one of the best games of the week, if not the best. The Rams versus the Vikings. Yes, both coming off of wins. This game is going to be tough to decide. You have the Rams, who have a good offense. You have the Vikings, who also have a decent offense. The Vikings have a really good defensive core, too. This game is going to come down to who scores the most points, I think. And I think whoever is going to score the most points is going to be the Los Angeles Rams. I know it's weird picking against the Vikings. I know Case Keenum's been doing really well. I would not be surprised if he does that. But I do think the Rams are just going to outscore just a tad bit versus the Vikings. I know this will not be a defensive game at all, but I still think Los Angeles will beat the Vikings. Next game, we got the Cardinals versus the Houston Texans. Texans coming off of a loss. Cardinals coming off of a loss. Cardinals are now down to their third-string quarterback, which seems too familiar for the franchise. I think it's Blaine Gabbert. And that's all I can say. They have Blaine Gabbert, quarterback, versus the Houston Texans, who still are not playing well at all. This game's going to be a terrible game to watch this week. But in the end, I'm going to give it to the Cardinals. I think that maybe the run game is what makes them win the game. I'm not sure. This one is just a crapshoot. So I'm going to pick the Cardinals over the Texans. Next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Giants. Kansas City coming off of a bye week, and you got the Giants who just lost to the 0-9 49ers. You're a Giants fan, yeah, sorry, I know. You have one win, which I still think was a fluke. You guys are lucky. I still think you're the second worst team in the NFL now, so I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Giants. Next game, we got the Washington Redskins versus the red-hot New Orleans Saints. Saints coming off of a win, and then you have the Redskins are coming off of that loss. The Saints right now, I do not want to pick against them. Yeah, after starting 0-2, they've won every single game since. Hottest team in the league, maybe besides the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think that the New Orleans Saints will beat the Redskins. I think this will be a closer game than maybe it's speculated. But that running game for the New Orleans Saints right now with Kamara and Mark Ingram is just amazing. I don't understand what they're doing back there, but it's just crazy. So I think that the Saints are going to beat the Redskins. Next up, we got what could be a great game. We got the Buffalo Bills versus the Chargers. Bills back-to-back shellackings in the past 2 weeks. Chargers come off for close to Jacksonville, which I think they should have won, but they blew it. Joey Bosa, that dumb penalty at the end. They did block that kick, but it still went to the uprights, which stinks as a team. However, I am going to say that the Buffalo Bills come back this week. I know Buffalo. I picked Buffalo a lot. I do think that they have the potential to be good every week. The Kelvin Benjamin pickup was great, but if they can actually use Kelvin Benjamin, he has had 2 weeks to pick up the offense, and I think the running game is going to be on point. You know, the running game is great against the Chargers defense. Although the Chargers are good rushing for the quarterback, they're not that well at rushing defense. So I think that LaShawn McCoy and Tyler Taylor will have good games on the ground. Maybe even Kelvin Benjamin will have a great game as a receiver. I think that the Bills will beat the Chargers. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Denver Broncos. Both teams lost. All I gotta say is Bengals lost to the Titans, Broncos to the Patriots. Broncos didn't play too bad, but they still ended up getting blown out against the Patriots, against the Bengals team. Right now, just the Broncos are struggling, the Bengals are struggling. It's going to be hard to say who's going to win, but they're playing in Denver, and the Broncos defense still can be the Broncos defense. So I'm going to say that the Denver Broncos beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, their quarterback play is shaky. Brock Osweiler didn't do too bad. The running game, yeah, it's people getting suspended and hurt on the defense of the Bengals. I think it's going to hurt them. So I think that the Broncos will beat the Bengals. So next up, we got the New England Patriots versus the Oakland Raiders. Patriots coming off their win against the Broncos Sunday night, and you got the Raiders who are coming off of a bye week. Raiders are not looking good. I thought that this would actually be the AFC Championship this year, but the Raiders have come off into a terrible start. So I think that the Patriots are going to beat the Raiders. Tom Brady is looking great. The defense is looking great. I think Tom Brady, runner either right now is the top or the runner-up for the MVP. Carson Wentz, obviously, I think is the other one. And sneaking up could be a Goff. I never know. Goff is playing really well right now. But I do think that the Patriots will beat the Raiders. Next, we got the Philadelphia Eagles against the Cowboys. Eagles come off of their first bye week. Only bye week, actually. There's only one bye week. And against the Cowboys, who come off of a domination blowout against, well, not really a blowout, 20 points, but still against a Falcons team who did not have their leading rusher. There's a lot of injuries that have been plaguing the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott's being suspended, which I said would be terrible, especially near the end of the season. I said that was terrible planning. Just take the suspension. You play the last games of the season. But now you're facing an Eagles team who's hot. I don't see the Cowboys beating the Eagles, but it's a rivalry. Sunday night, you never know. Would not be surprised, but I do think the Philadelphia Eagles will go to 9-1 against the Dallas Cowboys. And that brings us to our final game of the week. We've got our Monday night game. Looking to be a great one. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Seattle Seahawks, both coming off of wins this week. Falcons, good game against the Cowboys. Seahawks, a good game too. This is being played in Seattle. Seattle anytime is great, especially a Monday night primetime game. I think that Russell Wilson will have a great game this week. Also, there's an injury in the secondary with Richard Sherman, so look for Matt Ryan to have a decent game and Julio Jones to have a good game. But the secondary is still the secondary of the Seahawks, which I can see a little bit of problems. Maybe the run game comes in for the Atlanta Falcons, but I do not see the Falcons beating the Seahawks. Although I will say the Falcons had a good defense game last week. 6 sacks for one guy is great. But I do think the Seattle Seahawks will beat the Atlanta Falcons. And that is it for this week of NFL predictions. Thank you for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Also, you have any things to say to me, you know, why did I pick the teams I did? Who you think would win? Who did I get wrong? Who will I get wrong? Am I crazy? Am I stupid? I don't care. You guys tell me down below. And I hope to see you guys in the next video.